Converted man. Bum, 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 bum. Converted man here? Oh, yes. Welcome, friends, foes, robots, countrymen. Lend me your ears. Lend me $1,000 with no interest. And then forget that you lend me that so I can keep it. Today, you must put on your oven mitts. If you do not have an oven mitt, perhaps you should go get an oven mitt or 2 or 5. Put them on your hands because you will be facepalming. Oh, yes. You will yell at your screen. If you can resist yelling at your screen, you're a better person than I am. We're going to be looking at this video. I'm going to complain about it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say what's wrong with it, which is like everything. And I'm going to read the stuff that I said to this person and what he said back and complain about that stuff too, because why not? We have absolutely zero citations at all to consider. And we have a video called Proof that has no proof but has a bad argument. Oh, a bad argument. Oh, no. Bad. No. Not just bad. I'm sorry. Bad. No. This is beyond broken. No, this is below bad. This is incoherent in full. It just doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. We're gonna get into that. Okay. So strap in. Strap on those boots, soldier. It's time for a logic suck timeline. I've been watching a podcast. Never mind. Doesn't matter what I've been watching. What matters is this video. Let's stop wasting time and get to this guy. Oh, my word. Wow. Look at him. Cool. He's got a beard. Yeah, cool. I don't know. I just want to say, oh, my word, like that. You know. All right. Here we go.
I'm going to give you 100% proof yet again today that God exists. In one of my last videos about harbor seals, your reaction helped to prove exactly what I'm talking about. But before we get to that, I need to take you into a dark forest, so to speak, into a domain where science just can't quite get a handle on things.
Always good to start off your video with proof of not actually presenting the proof, but instead going off on some tangent. Hey! Guys, did you know that there's this dark, sinister world where science doesn't understand things? Oh, it's so secretive. Your doctor doesn't want to know you to know this secret, this top secret thing. Yes, they don't want you to know. They've covered it up for years. The CIA, the FBI, the NAACP, the MSN, the ABC, the LMNOPs, the governments, the New World Order, the triangle people, lizards, and the Masons. Oh yes, the Freemasons. Oh, they've all been in on it, and then funneling all the things through the secret organizations. Ah yes. All right, so science doesn't know stuff, therefore God. Oh yeah, it's coming. You know it's coming. I know it's coming. We all know it's coming. So here we go.
You see, this is one of the things that is often pointed at by atheists is like, oh, we need scientific proof. Science, proof from science. But that is coming from the understanding that science actually can have a handle on everything.
Well, science is the study of, everything, like reality. Like, what is science? What is it? Let's just go down that road. What do you think science is? It's very simple. It's not difficult to explain on a very basic level what science is. You observe reality, and then you write down your observations. You record your observations. Now, you can do that with just anything. You can, you pick something on your desk, and I'm gonna write about this thing. I've got this strawberry preserves. Why is this on my desk? I think I was gonna have a sandwich, or I forgot it last time. Once I did have a sandwich, yeah. And then I write down everything that I can know about this. The jar appears to be plastic, and its color, and what its contents claim, and all the observations I can write about it. Then it'd be helpful to make some sort of test or some predictions about the viscosity of the stuff inside and the taste. And there I've done science. I've basically, in a very limited way, in a very shallow way, but there you go. That's what it is. It's observation and data collecting. And so, yeah, there isn't really anything that you couldn't do that on.
And this is just a very young and naive perspective, or it's at least an unstudied and unthought out perspective. You see, even science will admit things like, if you want to know where an electron is, you can't know its speed. And if you want to know its speed, you can't know where it is. And so if science will readily admit to like a 50-50 ratio on something like that, what about when we get into other fields like human nature, where
yes, you don't understand science, therefore God. So what about human nature? What about it? Well, if we can't understand this thing, apples to oranges, then we don't understand this thing. I can't trust it because I don't understand it. Yeah. All right. You don't understand how this one thing works. You don't fully comprehend it. Got it. I get that. It's not. I don't. Not my field. The mechanics of atoms and molecules not something that I know that much about. But it's clear to me. You said here's this thing. We know how fast, but we don't know where. We know where, but not how fast. That's not a 50-50. That's just how that works. That's just how that works. Oh, but then we can't be sure. No, that's not how that works. It's just that knowing certain things is a thing that you can do, and you can't know other things. So then that must mean in this other thing that's a different science completely, that must mean we can't know certain things there either. Maybe, maybe not. But your analogy has broken down because you're now talking about something else. But even if it's true, we can't know everything with science. That doesn't mean that it's not useful. That doesn't mean that what we do know with it is invalid or that it has gaps. Oh, yeah, science has gaps. Now, what should we do with these gaps? Oh, I know.
where science doesn't hardly stand a chance. Now, science, let's give it credit for what it is. In very specified areas, when you're talking about non-moving targets, science is exquisite and wonderful. When you come up with the development of plastics or foam or rubber or putting computer technology now on crystals, to have larger memory, etc. Man, these are amazing things. Let's give science the credit it's due. Fantastic. But when you point science towards a moving target, all of a sudden you begin to see serious limitations about what it can and cannot explain. Let's say, for instance, if you are an atheist watching this, that you decide that you're going to be a scientist and you're going to get a comprehensive analysis of human nature together. Do you realize how daunting of a task that would be? And in fact, it would actually be impossible. There is no way to handle this sort of task.
There is. Studying human nature is a science. That is something that scientists do. It's a applicable field of science, and it is possible. Now, are you seem to be mistaken in the idea of the goal of an individual scientist, which is to probably study a very narrow field of human behavior. For this amount of time, we're going to study this phenomenon about humans. And so that's one or maybe a group of scientists working on that. Then this other group of scientists is working on studying some other phenomenon of human behavior. Because see, science builds on the back of other scientists who have come before. You've got all the people that have already looked at X, Y, and Z, and now you're looking at Q. You're looking at this other thing. Back here we did this study of people and showed we got this result. We found out this about them. So then you build your work on that. So you're not having to look at all of it. That's silly. So that just says to me, you don't really understand how a scientist works or what science does or how to utilize this methodology, broadly speaking. That's why we ask for peer-reviewed citations from you guys all the time. We're asking you to show support for your ideas. If and when we're asking you for scientific evidence, it's because we don't even need to say scientific evidence. We just say evidence. You don't have any evidence at all. You have nothing to support anything that you are saying. And so we doubt what you're saying because of that. You're making claims about the real world, but you don't seem to understand the real world and how it really functions. The methods of a single person or a group of people that are doing science about human behavior studies are not going to try to study all of human behavior. That's ridiculous and silly. And your non-understanding of that just proves you don't know what you're talking about.
This is completely out of science's hands and out of its domain. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're going to be the premier researcher on planet Earth who is going to get this comprehensive study in order. First of all, how do you get funding for something like that?
How you get funding is a complicated process. What does it have to, but that has nothing to do with anything else.
You would never have enough funding to accomplish that. But let's say we did. Let's say we gave you $1 billion.
That's a lot of money. That's way more for one study. There's no way. For multiple studies, no. I mean, even NASA doesn't get that sort of funding. So no, you're not. It's unreasonable. You're just talking out your butt at this point. Again, you don't understand the scientific method. Not that I understand it that well. I have a very surface level understanding. I think that your level of understanding is below that. I could be wrong, but I'm not.
That would be quite a bit of money to research with. You could then hire 20,000 surveyors or analysts of your choosing, and you could pay them $50,000 a year apiece, which, maybe that would work. And then to survey the people on planet Earth would take you over 1,000 years.
You wouldn't have to do that sort of survey in that time scale, though, because you're talking about sample data. You only need to survey about 20,000 people to get from around the world in total, different countries, different regions, to get a good sample of and human behavior, well, you have to narrow that down to what you are looking at. If you just generic human behavior, that's not something that you're going to get any grants for at all, because that's not something that people do. So again, this just doesn't understand what science is about, how it works, how the function of research works, or any of that. It's just you're going off on this wild ride that you don't comprehend. Saying, well, if you did this, you wouldn't be able to do this within this amount of time. You don't have any idea how long it would take. You don't know what they'd have to do or not to do. You don't know what their collection methods would be, or who they'd have to survey, or how many people they'd have to survey, and how long. You wouldn't have to do the sort of ridiculous things that you're suggesting, because a lot of the work has already been done. It's already been looked at. And human behavior, like I said, that's too broad a subject. You're going to have to say, what about human behavior we are looking at? What phenomenon are we studying in particular? Because, again, that's how science actually works. If you had $1 billion for your funding, you would have a team look at child behavior, adolescents, teens, adult behavior. But behavior, again, it's too broad. Behavior in relation to what? So you're going to have to pin down exactly what it is you're trying to find out, what question you're trying to answer, and then you get all that, and you're going to get a lot of data. And it's not going to take you, well, it's going to take some time to compile it, but it's not going to take any 1,000 years. That's silly. It's ridiculous. Maybe it's going to take a while, 10 years. That's a good long study. I don't think you'd even need that long. So this just, again, proves to me that you have absolutely no idea about how any of this stuff works, and none of this that you're talking about, even if you did understand it, proves anything. You're just saying, hey, you couldn't do this thing. Even if that's true, how does that prove your ideas are true? Even if it is absolutely true that we could never study human behavior fully, how does that prove your point?
If you just did one person per day per surveyor. Not to mention, how would you coordinate 20,000 surveyors? Let's just say that you wanted to do 20,000 surveyors for only a year, and you wanted to do some really comprehensive surveying of people's emotions and their thoughts and their thinking, and hoping they're telling you the truth of all this, by the way. And you just did a 1-year sample size. Would 7 million surveys really give you an adequate depiction of what humanity in general thinks across cultures, or how human nature operates?
Yes, actually, that'd be the biggest study ever done of humanity ever. And how would you manage it? You would have managers that are hired to coordinate that. You'd have a CEO. You're talking about a major corporation at this point. You'd have a CEO. You'd have multiple managers. You'd have HR departments. You'd have all sorts of stuff going on. None of this matters. You're just asking how this hypothetical would work. None of that matters. This ginormous tangent is irrelevant. Even if it was the case that we could never do this or pull this off, so what? That's not proof of anything. You're just saying, but we don't know human behavior. We can't quantify it, which isn't true. But even if it was true, that doesn't prove your point. Which is what? What's your proof for your idea? Just tell us that.
Or would we still be in the dark? And as I was thinking about this, I'm like, some of you will, oh, no, statistically, we know that like science would have to handle this through surveys. And so a survey sampling size of this would be great for a population of this size. Except that, do we actually know this?
Yes, we do know this. 20,000 people, that's huge. 10,000 is pretty good as far as things go. I mean, that's big enough. 1,000 is good. It depends what you're doing, though. It just really depends what you're trying to pull. If you're doing a wide scale study, well, first, really, you would do a meta study. You would do a meta study of science and see what's already been done on the subject matter. But you're being too broad scale with this. But again, your lack of understanding of how these things work, what would be done, what wouldn't be done, doesn't prove anything. We need you to stop whiffling and waffling about what science can or can't do and just provide us the proof that you've said that you have. Can you do that?
Has anyone proven that to be the case? Or is that someone else's best guess about a best guess? So as soon as you start to realize that there are some things that are beyond the exact purview of science, you can begin to grasp that it might not be able to handle all the questions of life or give us all the direction. Now, some of the atheists that I have argued with in the last couple of weeks online here, they are saying, well, yes, but science is the best that we have so far. Okay, that's their claim. But what's really interesting is they want to use science to measure the Bible by, but then don't necessarily want to measure science by the Bible.
Using the Bible to measure anything is incoherent in full. You need to prove that the Bible is true. And you need a methodology of how to do that, which you don't have. You need to demonstrate that anything in it is actually correct. You can't use it as a way to measure something else unless you know that that's its ability to do that. Tell me, where in the Bible does it talk about microwave radiation? Does it talk about atoms and particles, molecules? Does it talk about the elements? Does it mention the word logic? Does it describe any mathematics at all? No? Interesting. Almost as if it's not a scientific book. In fact, we know that things in the Bible could not have happened and did not happen at all in full stop. We know that Adam and Eve weren't people, never existed, couldn't exist, didn't exist, don't exist. That's a myth. We know that for sure. No doubts there. We know that there was no worldwide flood without any doubt. We know, well, we think that there was no Exodus because, well, there's no evidence for it, and there is some evidence against it. Maybe that one's not as certain as the other ones. We have reasons to think that, well, Noah didn't exist, and Moses didn't exist, and maybe Abraham didn't exist, although that one's a little bit less sure than the other ones. We know that many of the stories of the Bible align with other stories around the same time and mimic them, if not outright steal from them. Epic of Gilgamesh, for example, is pretty darn close to the Bible in many parts, and so on and so forth. So your text has been scrutinized by multiple disciplines and found to be underwhelming in what is true about it. We would never use it for anything else other than, I don't know, toilet paper.
when it actually has a lot to say about human nature, and it is so accurate and precise.
The Bible being accurate about human nature. Where? In what way is it accurate about human nature? How do you know that?
So let's just foray there for a moment. One of the things that those of us that have studied the scriptures have come to understand by the implication of the commands and the order of the commands and whatnot is that within human nature is a need and a desire to worship.
All right, we finally got to the meat and potatoes of this. There's a need and desire to worship. Not in me, there isn't. I've told him many times, I've said to him, I don't have that. It does not exist inside of me. I know myself better than you do. You cannot perform mind reading upon me. I do not worship anything. I don't have the desire to worship anything. I don't want to worship anything. I don't do that. It is not a thing that I do. And I've said that to him many times in many ways. We'll get into that later. And you know what he said? Oh, yeah, you can probably guess. He said, oh, no, yes, you do. Yes, you do. I can find the thing that you worship. Just give me some time. I'll find the thing. I'll prove that you do. No, you can't. You can't. Now, here's what you could do, hypothetically. You could get some sort of device to, let's get some heart reading monitors, some brainwave monitors and whatnot. And we're going to need some more humans than myself, but let's find what worship looks like, in that way. Let's find what worship looks like in a CAT scan or a scan of the brain or scan of the electronic signals of the mind or whatever. Let's find that first of all. We get somebody that we know is worshiping, whatever that means, by the way, but we get that and we see that and we see that that's constant of across the spectrum of humanity, at least like 100 people or so. Let's 20 people probably would be good for our purposes, because if we can find this, we should be able to find it relatively quickly, and it should be the same area of the brain that's lighting up, should be the same sort of patterns that the brain is doing, and so on. And so then we can plug me in and say, okay, if you worship, we expect to see this result, and if we don't see that, then you're not worshiping. That would be a thing you could hypothetically do, but yes, you would need money to do it. Yes, you would need time to do it. You would need the resources to do it, and you'd need the knowledge to do it. And I don't think you have any of that, not even a little bit. You could hire a lab to do it. You could hire a team of researchers to do it. That just costs money. So if you wanted, you could raise that money, save up enough money, get a grant for that money. You could do something, but you're still good. Or maybe here's an idea: somebody else has already done it. Maybe that's true. So go look for the metadata, the meta research on that, or just the research on it. Just find me one peer-reviewed paper on this that shows that we have seen that everyone, or a percentage of people, let's say 80% of people, have the tendency to worship something. Well, that means 20% of the people don't. Okay, what's the margin of error? Give or take 5%. Well, unless it's 100%, well, you still always have that margin of error. But unless you had something that showed 100%, then you don't have the data to support your assertion. And you don't have the data because you have 0 citations. You have nothing to support this idea. So you can't just say that we have this desire without proof that we have this desire. And you don't have that proof. But I have internal proof of my own brain. And I go, nope, I'm not worshiping anything, and that argument doesn't work on me. I am your counterexample. Game over. This argument sucks. Get a different argument.
Remember how I was telling you there needs to be proof? Like you were saying, I was saying there is proof that God exists. Inside of man, there is this need to worship. And I know some of you are like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't worship anything. And that's where I go back to worshiping science.
You're wrong. We don't worship science. I don't worship science. I don't worship anything. You nitwit. Oh. And I can do it too. But I'm more annoying. There, I win. Okay, anyways. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I tried to be as annoying as he is. Did it work? Rate us. Scale of 1 to 10. No, I didn't ask you. Shut up back there. Nobody asked you, voice in the dark. I don't even know if they could hear that. Get over here and say that. I dare you. Yeah, that's what I thought. What does it mean, need to worship? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, right? What does it mean? I don't know. But yes, we all have this need. Now, this is coming from C.S. Lewis, okay? C.S. Lewis made this broken-ass argument whenever the hell he made it and wrote it down, and it became a thing. And he said, oh, you all have this need, and so we have other needs. Like, you get hungry, you get thirsty, and so that means there's food and drink that exist in reality for you to eat and drink. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this need for it, because C.S. Lewis didn't understand how things work. And so then C.S. Lewis thought, oh, well, I have this Jesus-sized hole in me, so I have this need to to find out why I'm here, so there must therefore be a reason why I'm here. I have this need to worship, therefore there must be something for me to worship. I have this need, and that must mean therefore that thing exists for real. But that's not necessarily true. Just because you have an emotional desire for something, that doesn't make that something real. That something might be completely and fully an illusion. So yes, we have a desire to eat and drink to stay alive. That's why we have those freaking desires. And minorly distracted by chat. We have those desires, but we also have other desires that are more complex, more about social interaction, a desire to not be alone, at least not indefinitely. Although I say that with an asterisk, because there's probably somebody that does have the desire to be alone and is perfectly content with never interacting with another human as long as they live. Now, that's a low percentage of persons that are like that, extraordinarily low, but that person exists, and so does the person that needs to be around people all the time. That person exists as well, and then there's everything in between, because that's how we work. We're complicated. This is called psychology, and we have studied it using science. Oh yeah, science, as you would say. We have used, yes, it's been done. We understand this. But there are needs and desires that we have that are abstract. They are ideas in our heads, and that's it. They don't exist anywhere beyond that. They only exist in the head. I desire this idealized person that I came up with, but that idealized person doesn't really exist. Something like that might exist, but it won't be that. It won't be that thing that I want, because that thing that I want is so specific, so, that it's not realistic. So to assert that because I desire it, or that anyone desires X, Y, or Z, that thing must therefore be real, is just ridiculous and silly. But that's what you're going to do. And so here we are, and let's get back to it, shall we? Yes.
You see, at the very beginning, like, I don't believe that because of science. I need scientific proof. I elevate and worship science to the highest measuring critique system of life. So there is within mankind this innate desire to worship things. And this can be seen if you, since we can't comprehensively get our head around it, we can do some sampling. Like,
okay, so I love this. We can't do science to understand human behavior in totality, but we can see that this human behavior that we can't possibly hope to study is actually true. Which is it? Can we do it or not do it? I don't know anymore. We can see it, but we can't study it. We can study it, but we can't see it. You see, it all makes sense when we don't work in brain of.
how do people treat celebrities? They are worshipped. What about superior sporting figures?
Huh?
Worshipped. What about
What?
businessmen? So if they're $100 million, oh, worship.
Eh?
What about certain politicians? Worship. What about it bleeding over into things like us having yearly awards? Like there's got the Oscars for the people that we worship, and there has to be the Nobel Peace Prize for those that have been the best for humanity that we worship. And we keep records of our best people throughout time in our encyclopedias because we typically worship and lift up and exalt these people. There is this need in us, not, let's say we don't worship people, we also worship things like cars.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what the hell you mean by worship, and I think you and I have different ideas of what this word means. I think the word you might be looking for is actually like appreciate or enjoy or love, or I don't know, but it's not worship. See, I guess my understanding of worship is really what is at play here, and that's of course dealing with natural language. I have a version of worship in my head, and that version of worship might be very different than this guy's version of worship. But nonetheless, my version of worship is what I think about. So it's worth laying that out because he didn't bother to lay out what he means by worship. But I will say what I mean by worship because that is within the confines of this discussion. It is something worth exploring. Okay, so when I think of worship, it is a bit abstract to some degree, but it means a complete and utter devotion to this one idea, this one entity. Well, for me, it always had to be God. Unconditional devotion and commitment to the belief of and interaction with God. To worship means praise. You're singing songs to God. You are bowing physically for God. You are praying and thanking God. You are taking time and energy away from doing other activities to focus on this entity. And that to worship means that this is idealized, a lifetime thing that you're always going to do. You're always going to set aside a time and of your day, and it is a daily thing. Now, it's not a every moment of the day thing, but it is at least a daily thing that you do. that you think about this entity, you talk to the entity, you offer thanks to the entity, perhaps you offer sacrifices to the entity, and you praise it, and you like I said, you bow to it, you do rituals for it, and you spend inordinate amounts of time, energy on it. That's what worship means to me. What it seems like this word means to this guy is when you say like worship a car, well, are you spending every day on that car? Are you spending time and energy on that car? Are you singing songs of praise to that car? You know, are you talking to the car? Are you offering it sacrifices? If you are, then okay, then you're doing the same sort of worship that I'm thinking of. But if you're not, then no, you're not worshiping the car, at least not in my view. But it's like his view of worship. What is it? And I'm trying to figure it out because he's saying, worship celebrities, worship cars, worship money, worship whatever. And I'm like, okay, so what does he mean by that? And it's hard to figure that out because he's not giving me any context clues of what it means to him, to this word. So anything I have to say would be pure speculation. I don't really know what he means by worship. And then that reveals a weakness of this non-argument that he's attempting to give. The full argument thereof is broken anyways, but attempting to steel man him for all it's worth. Essentially, the argument is we worship stuff, therefore the thing that we need to worship, therefore there's something that really does exist that we ought to worship, and that thing is God, or something like that. I don't know exactly what the full argument is meant to look like, but that's at least my partial construction of it, giving him the full benefit of doubt, which I really don't feel like doing, given that he has shown a lack of understanding of everything so far. But, it's just trying to be charitable. So I don't know what he means by worship, and I don't think any of us really knows what he means to worship, but whatever that means to you, the individual, it might mean something. So when he says, well, you worship a car, or you worship money, or you worship this or that, and if that word doesn't align with your word, then you're going to say, no, you're wrong. If it does, since he's so vague about it, if worship can be applied to all these things, then it's really just like, it doesn't mean much of anything then, does it? If you can worship anything, then it's not that valuable. It seems that you can give it away. It's like I don't know, it's like watering down love. Like, you can love a car, yeah, but not in the way that I love the lady. When I say I love the lady, that's the romantic love is nothing like the love that I have for a car or a game or whatever. I love sushi, but I love this lady. The word is the same, but the emotion is completely different. I'm saying you're hanging off of a cliff somehow, and you can only save one, the lady or the sushi. Well, the lady's getting saved, obviously. I could get more sushi. I can't get more lady. There's only one of her. So there's a difference there, and so it seems like you're watering down the word. Well, you can love this and you can love that. Yeah, but it's different types of love. So maybe you mean there's different types of worship, which then would mean that each thing that you desire to worship is at a different level. And so it's not the same universally across the spectrum. So when you say, well, we all have this desire even though I don't know that you know that or could prove it, and I don't think you can, then what you're saying is we all can do this thing that changes from thing to thing. Oh, okay. Well, we all can love something. We all love something. Then you can substitute the word worship with love and say we all love something. Therefore, there's something that we can love. Okay, sure. But then you then extrapolate and say, therefore, there must be something that we ought to love, that we need to love, that's the best thing to love out there, right? But you need to flesh out that argument in some sort of coherent method that he's simply not doing here. But I'm attempting to make his argument for him, which then highlights how bad his argument is. Again, it doesn't prove that he's right, even if his argument was laid out in a way that was comprehensible. Because simply because I can love stuff, that doesn't mean that that stuff is even necessarily real. You can love fictional things. You can love things that don't exist. Like, I love Sailor Mercury. Sailor Mercury, as much as I want her to really exist, is an anime character. She exists only on screen. And as try as I might, I can't make her exist in reality. Why, science? Why can't you make anime real? What's that? Trump said he's going to make anime real? Well, he's getting my vote then. He didn't really say that, but say that he said that because it'll be funny. Okay. Hey, Trump said he'll make anime real. I'm voting for Trump. Hey, look, any politician, if you say you're going to make anime real, you've got my vote. All right. That was a weird tangent to go on. What was I saying? Who cares? Back to the video.
Motorcycles, watches, houses, locations, foods, wines, you name it. And on top of that, we worship things like technology. And here lately, it's been artificial intelligence. And this worship is really going to play out there. There will be worshiping of the artificial intelligence. Mark my words. So, but in all of this, we also worship, or some of us worship things like science. So inside of us, there is this innate need to lift something up. It has something to do with valuing and supporting. And when you look at how you think of things and how everyone around you discloses how they think of things, constantly we are getting information or ideas that have intellectual merit, they have emotional content, and they're informative. And as those ideas come into our lives, we value or devalue those things on a regular and constant basis. And so there's something in us that is always exalting and lifting up things in life. Now, some of you can immediately no, I know an exception to this. There are some people that don't value anything. Homeless people and depressed people might come to mind. But
fuck you on the homeless people. No, they value things, absolutely. So fuck you about that. That pisses me off. No, it does. It pisses me off. Because no, homeless people definitely value things. I've been there myself, and I've interacted with, multiple across time, but no, they value things, so fuck you. How dare you? Depressed people don't value things? Fuck you again. Yeah, this just is insulting to humanity to say that. Screw you. Anyways, so he's a nitwit, and I don't like him anymore. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the argument. He hasn't given us anything really other than, we seem to value things. What? We do? Oh my God, he's right. We value things. Oh my word. What does that prove?
But as soon as you begin to analyze that, you might find that the homeless person has severe trauma. And what they actually value the most and exalt and worship the most is an oblivious mind. And so
What?
they continue down the path of alcoholism to
Huh?
enter into oblivion so they don't
Huh?
have to deal with the trauma. Or
What the fuck are you talking about?
those that are caught up in depression, like they don't value anything except, yeah, they have somehow or another twisted the concept that they are the worst and suffering the most and are experiencing things like nobody else on planet Earth has done. I know this because that's the way I was thinking in a severe depression I had years ago.
Okay. What the hell are you talking about? What is this? How does what this is like what tangent? I don't even know what to complain about anymore. This is not how depression works. Okay, it worked that way for you. Maybe you're a sample size of 1, but that's not how it works, broadly speaking. What? I saw somebody blue. Oh, okay, there was a blue. I saw blue, and I was like, what's this blue thing? I saw a blue circle. It distracted me. That's what that was. All right. So the color blue therefore exists because I desire it. Hey, people want stuff. Okay, and how is this an argument for God? How is this 100% proof of God? How is this 100% proof for anything?
So we elevate things and we continue to do it, and we're always in this kind of an elevating process. And in this comes to mind if the practical application of this, if it's something that we're internally is going off within us, then externally, how does this play out? And we find out that there are serious pitfalls to misaligning and miselevating the wrong thing. So, for instance, if you elevate yourself above all, then you end up with those that hate you and can't stand you, and you lose.
Oh no, how terrible. I wouldn't want that. But being on the internet for as long as I have, I've encountered many people, talked to many people, and every single one of them has loved me. Oh yes, all of them. I've never had any disagreement with anybody. I've never had anyone insult me. That never happens.
lose the ability for anybody to like you because you're so prideful and arrogant and narcissistic that you
Look. Let me just stop you there. Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit narcissistic, but that doesn't negate from the fact that I am in fact amazing, awesome, talented, humble, beautiful, handsome, knowledgeable, smart, yes, sophisticated, well-read. I am the pinnacle, really, of humanity. All those things are true, and I happen to be a little bit narcissistic, but me being narcissistic doesn't diminish from the fact that I am indeed amazing in every single conceivable way possible, and you should actually, me is the one you should be worshiping. You should have known that, but I understand you've never met me before, so but now that you've met me, obviously you have to worship me. I mean, that goes without saying. But yes, somebody being the thing that's narcissistic wouldn't negate the fact that they are actually amazing and perfect and awesome. So, basically what you're doing is you're doing an ad hominem. You're saying, well, you have this nasty characteristic trait. Well, yeah, sure, maybe, but they're still amazing. Other than maybe that's the only negative part about them. But can you blame them for being narcissistic? I mean, look how amazing and awesome they are. I mean, wouldn't you be a little bit narcissistic if you were as amazing as I am? I think you would, because look how cool I am. All right, I'm going to stop being so amazing and cool for a moment and get back to this video. If you agree that I'm amazing, please post your comment in the comments below. What's that? I have negative comments? How is that possible?
Lose everyone around you. Or let's say you elevate money and work, you might lose then friends and family. Or if you elevate, that's interesting. If you elevate celebrities, then it seems like, and TV shows, you slowly become out of touch with like reality. Or if you elevate your emotions, then you don't have the actual disciplines to carry through with life. Or if you elevate discipline, then you don't have the ability to necessarily connect with normal human beings. Like, if we elevate the wrong things, there always seems to be detrimental effects. And so that.
And if you elevate God, couldn't there be a detrimental effect if God is not the right thing to elevate? If true, if what you're saying is true, then you need some methodology to identify what the right thing and the wrong thing is to elevate. How would you establish that system? Oh, there's a thing that helps us to establish systems. What would that thing be called? It starts with an S. What's the word that I'm looking for, nitwit over there that's eating food? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, it starts with S and ends with ions, rhymes with science, lions. You're not going to say the word for me over there? I'm looking right. Science. There you go. Science! As he said it. Science! Or how did he say it? I don't remember. I can't make fun of it anymore. Science! Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. All right, so yeah. But we can't use that to figure stuff out. Well, fuck me.
That just brings us to a question. If there's always something that we are trying to elevate, is there anything then that we can elevate that is right? And here the Bible very neatly steps in.
Well, I counter your Bible with the lobsterist, which you clearly haven't read. If you had read the lobsterist, you would then be a lobsterist right now. See, I know for a fact that people in my chat that are speaking right now, they haven't read the lobsters. I know that. How do I know that? Because they're not lobsterists. If they had read the lobsters, they would be a lobsterist. But they haven't read the lobsters, therefore they're not. It's very simple. It even says that in the lobsterist. It's so blatantly clear and obvious. Also, I'm pretty sure there's hidden codes in the lobsterist. And if not, there might be added some hidden codes later. Because things are added to the lobsters all the time. Where they come from, who knows? I don't know how they get there. They just appear. Yes, I don't know who's doing it. Somebody, maybe, could be. I don't know. But yeah. So your Bible is among other books that are out there that make claims. And your Bible claims certain things, and other books claim other things. And yes, they claim that elevating God is the best thing that we can do, and that's nice, but we need some methodology to figure out if elevating God is a good or bad thing to do. And also, in and of itself, perhaps God is a good thing to elevate, but then we need to determine what God is, or how much to elevate it, or in what ways to elevate it, and that would require additional methodologies. And none of this proved God, because you inserted the Bible here as a way to point to a particular version of God. We don't know which Bible he's talking about, because we're assuming that he's talking about the Judeo-Christian Bible, but the word Bible doesn't necessarily mean that Bible, although broadly speaking it usually does. But I don't, which version of the Bible then? The NIV, the King James version, the new, what does that matter? Does it have to be in the original language? What theology? Does that matter? There's all sorts of unanswered questions without any without any deconverted man can't talk anymore, without any methodology for any of that, then we can't know how to make sure that the thing that we ought to worship is being worshipped in the way that we ought to worship, let alone the fact we couldn't know that that is the thing that we ought to worship because we don't have a methodology to conclude that that's the thing that we should worship, because you haven't offered us any methodology at all in this video. You said we need to worship. I reject that notion that we all worship or that we all need to worship. I don't think that I worship anything anymore, at least in my version of worship. I certainly don't. And a different version of the word worship that I don't personally recognize, if you mean by worship, if you can replace worship with some other word like love, we love something, everybody loves something, or everybody maybe we should change the word to appreciate or value or care about or something like that, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm more likely to grant that. Like, everybody cares about something. You could say something like that as a broad statement, and I'd be like, yeah, for the most part, people care about stuff. And maybe I'm willing to say, yeah, everybody cares about something. That's a broad statement that I'd let you make, because yeah, it seems good enough to be true, and I don't really have any outright objection to that sort of universal statement that I can think of off the top of my head. I'd still want you to prove that everybody cares about stuff, but if you want to say everybody cares about something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. And well, therefore, you should care about this thing because this book told you to. That's not an argument for anything really at all, because you would need to tell us why we should care about that book. And you haven't done that either.
And gives us the command to worship God, lift up God, put God absolutely in the first position, and then everything else balances out in such beautiful fashion that it is hard to explain or convey, but some of us are going to spend our lives trying to do that.
Woo! Okay, we got through the whole video, and it only took me an hour. And I'm not done. Oh, no, I'm not done, because I wanted to read my comments that I made to him and complain about that. So we're going to do that now. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not, it's irrelevant. We're going to do it. Why? Because it's my video and I get to do what I want. Let me just check over here at stuff that's going on in the side chat. Okay, a whole bunch of conversations. Some may or may not apply to what I'm talking about. And okay, here's one. 100% proof. Yeah, 100% proof. He proved it. Oh yes, he sure did. By proof, of course, he means I gave an incoherent argument that is broken at every conceivable level and doesn't work. But now, join me as I explore my comments, and maybe some other comments as well. I will read out these comments, and then I'll complain about them. Not my comments, because obviously I'm going to be biased in favor of my comments, but perhaps you, yes, you, Nerdy Rodent, or somebody else that's not Nerdy Rodent, might be like, I didn't like what Deconverted Man said. I disagree with him. Great, cool. You can tell me why you disagree in the comment section of this video, which doesn't have a comment section yet as I record this, but when I'm done recording this, it will have a comment section, at which point you can put your comments there. Now, you put your comments in chat, that doesn't matter. YouTube doesn't care. It doesn't count. So put them in the thing or else. Just do that. I tell you guys this all the time. You don't do it. I don't know why. Read the comments, Deconverted Man. What? Read the comments. No, I want to complain about them not commenting on this video. Read the comments. Okay, fine. I must have missed the part when you presented proof of anything. I did not feel the need to worship, so I'm your counterexample. So that's not proof either. I'm starting to think you got nothing. Oh, yeah. Good opener, Deconverted Man. Good job. Mwah. Oh, no problem. Just watch the video again for the proof. Just watch the video again. Well, technically, I did just watch your video again here in this analysis, and I still didn't see the proof. So, as for not feeling the need to worship, I propose two things. First, that you might not have considered the stuff you really do worship. Like maybe it crept under the radar. Maybe it's sex or intelligence or knowing more than others. But pretty sure it is there. Another place to look. Are you sure your worship isn't self-worship? Like your needs, your thoughts, your opinions are your highest priority and such as you super protect them. I mean, if you really didn't feel a need to worship something as the highest, then why was the highest point of your counter argument that you are the answer? Just curious. Oh, he's done it now. Oh, yes, you've triggered my trap card. Take 9,000 points of damage, and I win the duel. And you can't quit the duel in order for me not to win the duel when I activate this. And no hand traps can be responded to by the activation of this counter trap. So there, yes, and I can use this whenever I want, and I can play it on turn 1 and win on turn 1, and only I can use it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's a card in Yu-Gi-Oh. And for those of you who don't know Yu-Gi-Oh, back to the comment. Okay. All right. There was no proof offered in the video at all. I don't worship anything. A single data set of person that does not feel the need to worship is the counterexample of your claim. Because I cannot read minds, I cannot make the claim that someone else has a lack of this feeling. There does seem to be a tribe of people who have no need of God and do not seem to worship things, to Piyana people. But if you want to assert that people do X, you can do so without any way to prove it, of course, but doing that isn't proof. The problem is and continues to be that you have nothing to offer at all here. Let me know the moment you have actual evidence to offer. Okay, everyone. I'd like you to take a vote in chat right now or in the comment section. Do you think that he's going to come back with proof? If you think your brain is strong, Jeopardy will prove you wrong. No. Nice way to disregard blatant human activity. Oh, God. You are so correct in one thing. Since we can't read human minds, we shall not be able to be certain about what they think or feel. Which would then mean you can't say that we all do so. We shall have to trust their explanation of such. Does this mean we give up doing science on people? Nope. But you in the video said we couldn't do that. Like not 100%. We couldn't do that. So, anyway, does that mean we stop using general intelligence or inductive thinking to map out how we live in a world when science can't pave the way? No, but you can't say that science can't do it, but then say that science can do. As for the Piyana people, why did you bring them to the table? Did you research them first? Yeah. They wear decorative necklaces to ward off evil spirits. Not really, but whatever. So they don't worship anything other than not telling people what to do, which seems to be what they pride themselves in. Not really, but okay. But in the same breath, seem to believe in the spirit realm. No, they don't believe in the spirit realm. Interesting. Thank you for offering more evidence to prove my point for me. They don't believe in a spiritual realm. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I suspected you'd find patterns where there's none to find them, but they're an example of people who don't need God. So that's something. I can only say that I myself do not worship anything, and that any claim you make to insist I do is simply you pretending to know me better than I know myself. You can hide and play games. That's okay with me. From what I do know from human nature is that people do heavily prioritize some aspects of their life. So by worshiping means prioritize. So it's not worship anymore. At least in my version of worship, it's in his version of worship. So you can just use the word prioritize instead, and that would cover it. And I would actually agree with him if he had said prioritize instead of worship. But whatever. Given a couple hours with them, it's easy to see. I don't claim that I know you by this. Yes, you do. But with repeated observation of human nature, which it would be under the purview of science, which you said couldn't do that, with person after person after person explaining this pattern, it's very easy to lay out a guess that includes you as well as me. That would be a hypothesis that you... An unfalsifiable claim is one that I must dismiss. You do not have proof. You have beliefs. I don't have any way to prove your above claim, so should I believe it? Now, what do you think I said in response to this? This is the, are you skeptical about skepticism? What do you think I'm going to say to this? You guys know what I'm going to say to this. You robots know. You girls know. Is there any girls that watch my stuff? Is that to scare them all away because I try to flirt with them? Why do I do that? I'm stupid. Okay. Anyways, to the few girls that might watch my content, I'm not trying to be a creep. It's just I am single and I don't know how to interact with girls. Probably the two are related. Not sure. Anyways, back to this comment. I need to go off the tangent of complaining about that I'm single. All right. Damn it, I hate being single. Oh, you're at least understanding, perhaps. You shouldn't. You should be skeptical of claims made when you can't verify them. Yes, I told him to be skeptical. Oh, you never saw it coming, did you? You didn't know I was going to do that, did you? You made a claim that I personally worship X. However, I reject in full that I worship anything. You can't know my mind. Only I can. I must reject your claim because I have evidence in my own head that suggests to me that it's true. More so, I see no evidence that it's not true. I do see you grasping at straws to make it true because you think it's true. Now, what you need to do is provide actual evidence that it is true, not just say it's true. Anyone can say anything is true. I can say that you secretly know there's no God, and you just pretend to know, to not know that they're, to cover it up. So you, of course, should reject that notion, but I can insist that you do. That sort of conversation goes nowhere. So without claiming anything about what I believe or do not believe, where does that leave the non-argument you have made here? Nowhere. That's the point. Why? Because it's a bad argument. Rather than spin your wheels trying to make a broken argument work, accept that it is, in fact, broken. Then repair it. Of course, the best way to know how to repair any argument would be to learn how to make an argument, and so you would have to learn informal logic and perhaps formal logic as well. Now, do you think that he responds with, hey, that's a good idea, Deconvert Man, I'm going to go learn informal logic right now? Do you think that he's like, oh my God, I've never thought about that, I'm going to go learn everything I can about informal logic? What's informal logic? I've never heard of that before. How do I learn it? Where do I start? Do you think he said any of that? Anybody in the audience? No, of course you don't. I'm not even going to bother to look at chat. Wait, yes, I am. No, nobody cares about what I'm saying in chat. All right, fine. Oh, well, maybe they care, but they're not indicating that they care. Anyways, whatever. Oh, I'm quite skeptical of skeptical propositions. I don't think he... Okay, whatever. You have the absolute ability to hide your mind, heart, intentions, loves, desires, craving, and could forever throw a chink in the gears if you choose to. He's claiming to know what I know now. Just like I mentioned through observation of reality, you know, that science stuff. But you said that we couldn't observe that part of reality because we can't study human nature in your video. So which is it? Can we study it or can we not study it? I wish he'd make up his mind. Anyways, one can see that men do worship things, but not women. Women don't worship things, just men. That's a common trait. Sure, this is an inductive proposition. It's not even a proposition. Wait, but I have to live and make choices in this world, despite whether I can deductively rationalize a point or not. Yeah, but if you can't actually rationalize it, then we shouldn't believe you. You need to prove it. You said you had proof. You had 100% proof in this video. You didn't offer us any proof in the video. Now you're just saying, well, I can't help that I can't offer proof in the video. I mean, just because I can't rationalize something, that doesn't mean I don't have proof, which I don't have because I didn't rationalize the proof that I don't have. But that doesn't mean anything. I still have to live. Anyways, further, I find it deductively that all men around me live inductively, including yourself inductively. Inductively. Somebody type inductively in chat and I'll highlight it. All right. Inductively, including yourself inductively. Since I consider you an inductively sane person, I'm just going to add the word inductively now. I would rationalize inductively further that inductive reasoning is a rational inductive approach to life inductive, or you wouldn't do it inductive. I'm going to stop doing that now. Inductively. As such, if all men do seem to worship something, it seems clear to me that you do as well, but I don't. So maybe as small as something like winning a debate with investigation, we can get some glimpses of what that is. You think your mind is hidden. No, I never said that. What? Huh? What? It's actually on display and it's been put there by the Bible. Try reading it. It's quite insightful to human nature. Inductively. What? So isn't that weird? It's just a weird tangent, isn't it? Like you go from hey, I don't have this in my head. Oh no, you do have it in your head. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. You're hiding it. It says it in the Bible. Oh, it says it in the Bible. Well, you need to read the Bible. No, you need to learn informal logic. I've read the Bible. Well, a lot of it. Not all of it. I haven't read it in a while. I read all 613 commandments, though. That's a thing I did do. I proved that on my channel. I don't know if I want to reread the whole Bible again because it's kind of boring. And I'm not sure what reading it would really prove beyond that I've read it. Like, I could read it all on my channel and be like, okay, I've done it. Now what? I don't believe any of it. So what, it's not enough to tell somebody, like I told you to go learn logic. That's, I didn't tell you to just read logic. I told you to learn logic. Why? Because you want to make a good argument, I think. So then you need to know how to do that. And that's the only way. Oh, whatever. Fucking whatever. There's more to read. There's fucking more to read. Nope. I do not worship stuff. This argument doesn't work with me. Now, do you think that after telling him that the argument doesn't work with me, now, you're a reasonable person, I think, you out there that I'm speaking to right now in a way that I hope that I am speaking to you of. You! Yes, you. Yes, Beasto. I see your name there. Beasto. You. I'm talking to you right now. You! Now, if I said, hey, this argument doesn't work with me, do you, A, keep using the same argument even though I told you it didn't work with me, or B, change the argument? Say, here's a different argument. What do you do? Wait. A lobster is talking about me? What the hell is a lobster? Lobster? What? Lobster? Lobsterist. Lobsterist. Get it right. Lobster. A lobster is. Oh, you wanted to say a lobster is talking about. Yes, a lobster is talking about you. Yes. Damn it. Say it right. The beasto. But if I say, hey, this argument's not working on me, you'd say, are you going to keep using the same argument or are you going to use a different argument? What should you do? I would assume Beasto's pretty smart guy, girl, robot. I don't know what he is. Could be a Pokemon. I don't have any idea. Whatever. Anyways, he'd probably be like, I'm going to use a different argument. I'm just assuming. I don't know. Maybe he would keep using the same broken argument. Probably not, though. But what do you think this guy is going to do? Do you think he's going to keep using the same broken argument even though he said it's not going to work on me? Let's make this clear. It's not about winning a debate. It's about finding what is true, what is real. That's all that matters. What is the truth? What are the facts? What is the data? Here you have an empty assertion that you cannot prove because you'd have to know the minds of men. You don't. Maybe if you had some scientific study to show that what worship is in the brain and show that a number of people had that, you'd have something. But you don't. I fully reject this none of quotes in the universe argument. Since it does not and will never ever work on me, why keep doing the same broken argument? Makes little sense. Try something that will really work. Maybe as I suggested, learn informal logic. Now, after saying all that, clearly the rational, sane choice to make would be, all right, I hear you. I see that this argument doesn't work on you. Maybe I'll learn informal logic. Maybe not. But this argument, clearly it's not working on you. So I'm not going to keep doing it. Right? Right? Anyone that's sane and rational would do that. So, do you want to take a bet that he's going to do that? Well, who would like to take that bet? I'm offering 1,000,000 to 1 odds. Come on. No? Yeah. Deconverted man, you most likely worship yourself. Ah! Or your dedication to be more precise than others, or to have a stronger will to know truth. Give me time. I will find out what you worship. So, I told him it doesn't work on me. It's never going to work on me. But he keeps doing it. Why? Why is he? Why? Why? Why are you doing this? Why? It's not going to work. It's never going to work. But he's still doing it. Why is he still doing it? Please, somebody tell me, why is he still doing the thing I said it's not going to work? Why? I don't understand that. Just somebody explain to me how this works. Anyways, let me complain more. As for finding what is real, it is pretty evident. I don't want to overstate here that this is not your goal. Yes, it is. That is my goal, is to find out what's real. That is my only goal. Don't tell me what my goal isn't when I just told you what my goal is. Now, you might come out of a bad religion and seeking truth, found out that religion was faulty, and maybe atheism looks like the step forward. But you don't seem to be chasing after what is real. The fuck are you talking about? Clearly, you haven't read my deconversion book, but yeah, no, I am seeking what's real. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Keep going, though. Because I can assure you, right religious people have real experiences with God. Right religious people have real experiences with God. But wrong religious people have not real experiences with God. How would you know the difference? What methodology would you use? How would you tell? How could you analyze that? What method would you use? Oh, well, I mean, if it's not in the Bible, then it's got to be the wrong experience of God, So before the Bible was written, the people that thought they were experiencing God, they were wrong. They didn't have the Bible back then, They had to wait for the Bible to be edited and published to be able, and they had to learn how to read, Anyways, I made a mistake. Hold on. Hold on. Oh my god. I tried to do something while I'm doing something. Bad move, me. And you could seem to care less about that. Yes, if you care less than you do care, you just care not as much as before. What you mean to say is I don't care. But I don't know why you would tell me what I do and don't do in my head, because I told you not to do that and you're doing it. Stop saying what's in my head. Not interested in looking into it. And please don't conflate truth, facts, and data, for they're not always the same thing. Well, they are to me. But, it's just how I view those words, pretty much. But, yeah, okay, whatever. And he quotes me. You have an empty. Is this not an assertion? Yes, I have asserted that you have nothing to back up what you have said. That is my assertion. The fact that you have not backed up what you said proves that you have not backed up what you said. I don't say as much to be, I'm not saying that word, I hate this word. And surely you will conjure up some sort of mind reading schisms, but that doesn't mean I don't have insight into the minds of men. You don't know what I'm thinking, and to assert otherwise is pretty unprovable. What the fuck are you talking about? What we do have, though, is lots of evidence that people do worship all sorts of things. Well, you might have evidence of that, but you never presented that evidence. You never said, you just said stuff. You haven't proven anything. You don't, clearly this guy doesn't know what evidence is, but I don't worship stuff. Ah! Wow. How people worship science. What the fuck? You should check out my scientific evidence video. Oh. Oh God. Oh God, no. 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 I don't wanna. Should I do that? Maybe I should. Yeah. Maybe that will be next time. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. It'll only take me 5 hours. I gotta bring in a scientist though. I think I'm gonna sneeze. All right. If I had a scientific study to show that worship's in the brain, I'm going to sneeze definitely, and then a number of people had it, told you I was going to sneeze, what would it keep a skeptic from doubting? No, if you had the scientific study, then I would look at the study and I would agree with the study. But you don't. So don't ask what it would keep from a science. But just produce the damn study. You don't have it. That's the point. I can argue with you because I know how your mind works. No, you don't. If it were me and presented with this data, my simple question would be, what data? You haven't presented any data. What was how we know? Wait, what? My simple question would be, how do we know that what is shown is worship? How do we know that what is shown is worship? How? That's going to be on. I need that on our shirt. How do we know? 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 Anyways, how do we know that what's shown as worship? If we had the study, then we'd have. Goodness. All we have are signals that appear while people worship. Yes, that would be the thing that is worship. Then the signals that are happening while they worship would be the worship. Yes, that is what it is. That's how do we know that's what it is? Because it can't be something else. That God, you don't know how anything works, do you? Further, the sampling size is too small. We don't even have a sampling size. You're not doing anything. We need to investigate more people. You know what? 10 would be fine. Get 10. 10 would be 10. I'll accept 10. Can you get 10 people? Dude, do me and you. Just do us two. And I'll accept that. You couldn't even set that up, though, because you'd still require the equipment to do it. But, it doesn't matter. But it's already been done. And the research is out there. It's just you haven't found it and produced it and said, here's the citation. That's all you'd have to do. But you're not doing it. Statistics can be wrong. Okay. Has anyone cross-checked the data? Yeah, if it's who funded this research and why. Tons of ways to find out. Yeah, that's nice. Give me the citation for the paper. You don't have anything to offer. That's what I'm complaining about. You haven't given me anything. Stop asking questions about the thing that you haven't given me yet. You do realize studies do show stuff like this, right? Yeah, I do. Give me a study. And then he quotes me, since it does not, will never work on me. Is that a hint of you worship being right or the best arguer? No, it's not a hint that I worship anything, because I said I don't worship anything. You complete and utter moronic nitwit of poopy heads, cupcake for brain, non-lobster worshiping words that are bad that I can't think of right now to throw at you because I'm completely irritated at this person. None of those insults matter, of course. What matters is the argument and the facts, and he has no argument or facts. He just has just stuff. But you think the conversation ends there? No, the conversation doesn't end there. Of course not. I'm still reading stuff. Shit. Okay. I don't worship anything. Stop assuming things about me. This is very irritating. Did you realize studies do show stuff like this, right? Yes, citation required. One last time. I do not worship anything. Stop using this broken argument. Thumbs up. Okay, that's it. And then that's the end of the conversation, at least for now. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I love being told what I believe and don't believe. Oh, yes, I enjoy that a lot. It's really fun. I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's fun. I love it. Yes, keep doing that, guys. Keep doing that, theist. It's brilliant. It's the best argument ever. Oh, yes. Oh, you know there's a God. You just deny it. Oh, I love hearing that. Oh, yeah, keep doing it. It works all the time. Yeah, it converts people all the time. It works with everyone. Yeah, keep doing this. That's sarcasm. Don't. That was all sarcasm. I don't mean it. Don't do that. But you're going to keep doing it because why? I don't know. I don't know why you're doing it, but I do know this. Throughout this video, you offered us 0 empirical evidence. You offered us 0 repeatable tests, and you definitely did not offer us a valid and sound argument. Instead, what you did is say, we all do this thing. You did not demonstrate that we all do, in fact, do this thing. And then you said, and the thing that should be aimed at due to the Bible is God. That's your entire argument. You think that everyone worships stuff, that the Bible says to worship God, and therefore we should worship God. I don't know how else to break down how wrong that argument is than what I've done here in this video. But I will say this. You worship something. That something should be Lod, L-O-D, the lobster original deity, as outlined by the lobsterist. That's your argument. If my version of your argument does not work on you, don't use your version of that argument on me. I'd have to prove that the lobsterist is true to you. I'd have to prove that you do, in fact, worship stuff, but you already think that you do, so okay, I've got that. But even if I could prove that you do, in fact, worship stuff, that doesn't mean that that stuff is real. Nor does it mean that the lobsterist is the thing that you should look to find out which thing to worship. And it still doesn't prove that that thing is real. Even if it was the case that the thing that we should worship is proven to be this idea of God, that doesn't make God real. So even if you had a valid and sound argument, you still, in this case, wouldn't have proof of God. You'd have proof that we should worship God, which is different than God being actually real. I think that should then show that this argument completely and utterly fails, even if it was valid and sound, which it isn't. And because we have no empirical evidence, no repeatable tests, and no valid and sound argument, we should, in fact, we must be skeptical of his conclusions. Don't forget to comment on this video, all the things I said to comment, or else the lobsters will come for you. And that's it. That's the end of the thing. And goodbye, everybody. I'm ending the stream. You're too bad if you wanted to talk and shit. You can't do that anymore. Post in the comments if you want to talk to each other. Goodbye. Lobster.